Okay, thank you for the introduction. My name is Dovei Li. I'm from Zhejiang University of China. And my city, Hangzhou, is very close to Shanghai, just 1 hour travel by train. My group name is about 3 words: human, mobility, and automation. But basically, I want to introduce human factors into the design of automated driving. This is my aim. So in the left side, all the authors are from my group. Biao, Linghui, Bingbing, and Tingze are all great students for my group. And in the right side, He Yuan, Nan, Yilei, Chen, and Haimo, they are from Oppo Group. So I will start my... Okay. So it's fine. Okay, move on. So actually, car sickness is very common. Actually, it's the most common, but unpleasant experience during car rides. So there's a survey paper investigates that actually in China, the number of people, the incidence percentage actually is very, very high among all the countries. And there are lots of reasons to induce car sickness. For example, what do you eat? What do you feel? What do you smell? And especially the acceleration that you felt during the car rides. Okay, so for coming self-driving vehicle, actually it means more important because that the driver will partially or sometimes it will converted or transformed into a passenger. So they have more time available for non-driving tasks. So this is in the right side, this is a study by CIFAC of Amtree. They found that in China, the future customers to use self-driving vehicles, they will carry out some of, for example, texting, watching movie, reading. I think all these non-driving related tasks are prone to induce motion sickness. So it is important to solve this problem. Okay, so actually, if we consider a timeline from the initiation of the travel demands and to the motion planning, motion control, that is what your vehicle should do. And then the motion starts. And your final result is to use the human-machine interface to mitigate the motion sickness that the passenger may feel. Okay, so there are basically 2 ways. That is, before the motion starts, we have planning and control. And after motion starts, the last resort is to use the interaction between the human and machine. Okay, so previously we have researched some methods. For example, in this way, we use the control, the comfort-oriented motion control. We include the motion sickness model into the algorithm, thus to reduce the motion sickness level. And we also use the model, the frequency weighted methods, to plan a trajectory that is less prone to induce motion sickness. Okay, so if we consider about the possible, the related mechanism model of motion sickness, we found that either the reasons sensory conflict theory or also the postural instability theory, they both mean that actually if you give the motion cue of the coming motion, that you can have some anticipation of the future motion. This can help you to reduce motion sickness. Okay, so with this, there are a lot of motion cues designs. For example, they use haptic, they use visual or audio. These cues can provide some clues about the future motion of the vehicle. So in this way, the driver can be better prepared. So we also carried out a similar research, but used vibrato cues that use a series of little motors to vibrate under your seat, and then you have the information about the future directions and intensities of acceleration. So the research shows that it is useful. Okay, so in this research, we want to also focus on the motion cue measures to reduce motion sickness. Okay, so in this work, we actually designed so-called application of MOSI in the center of this figure is the video. So in the left side is the bird view, in the right side is the windshield view. So the vehicle may accelerate, decelerate, or turn left or turn right. All the acceleration information will be instantly transferred to the application. And to use the 4 arrows, these 4 arrows, left, right, forward, and backward. And also we use the color filling to indicate the mapping of the acceleration magnitude. So this is the video. So basically, as I mentioned, we use the 4 arrows for the directions and the red, yellow, green color coding, very similar to traffic light color coding. We use the magnitude mapping. We also need to filter the very small accelerations to remove any interference. So this all 3 means that we want to reduce some interferences about the non-driving related tasks, but we want to give the passengers some clue about future motion. Okay. Okay, so we recruited 30 passengers. All of them are relatively more prone to motion sickness. They have the MSSQ value of 83.08. That means that among all the passengers, they are relatively prone to motion sickness. And we got 26 passengers. They have all 2 conditions, that is with or arrow Q, and the other one is no Q, 2 conditions. And we use a motion simulator. Actually, this motion simulator is just to provide the excitation. There's no washout algorithms. So this is a cycle for longitudinal acceleration and lateral acceleration. So one cycle is 60, just 1 minute. Okay, so we use the information instantly, means that if we have the sensor, accelerometer sensor, we have the acceleration information. We will send to the mobile phone held by the passenger participant. Maybe we can play the video. Okay, the video is too small, but it's okay, I think. So during the procedure, we need to pre-study. Means that we want to means that the UI of the MOSI application actually needs to be optimized. So we carry out several rounds of pre-studies, and before the passenger motion simulator actually starts, we need to ask the participant to fill out the pre-SSQ questionnaire. And for every 1 minute, we ask them about their misery scale and also their performance results about their non-driving task. That for this task, we use a spelling task, very similar to texting or playing game on a cell phone. Okay, so for the rest part, I need to mention 2 scales. One is SSQ. The other one is more important, is about MISC, misery scale. So basically, we stop the entire experiment before, if the participants report that their MISC scale reaches 7. So in order to not let them too uncomfortable, so we need to stop the experiment. So basically, we have several results. For example, for all the participants, we found that the RQ, the application, can reduce the misery scale of all participants, but statistically, there's no significant difference between them for the right side. But if we look at the right side, this figure, it shows that at some certain point of time, how many people reach a certain value of misery scale. For example, look at the blue curve. We found that if at the time point 16, there are, for example, there are 10 people reach misery value of 4. But if with RQ application, actually the number of people feel so uncomfortable, the number is reduced. Okay, so if we consider more about the details, for example, if we consider those participants that really feel uncomfortable, so their misery scale reaches at least 3 in other conditions. So we take out this special considered group. We consider this prone participants group. We found that actually there are significant differences between these 2 conditions. Means that our application works. And if we find in Radific, we find again that the application can divert the sickness aggravation process. This is very important. For example, in this study, we use 35 minutes of write. It can postpone, the delay at least 8 minutes of very uncomfortable condition. So it is workable, I think. Okay. Okay, so consider about the non-driving task. Non-driving task is important if somebody may think about that. If the passenger do not use cell phone, they will feel comfortable, right? But it means that the requirement that I got from the corporation, Oppo company, they told me that they are basically a mobile phone company. So they ask the participants to use the cell phone. Okay, so the non-driving task actually is not affected significantly from this figure. Okay, so the subjective evaluation also shows that our application is effective, and there's no big negative impacts to the non-driving taskers, and also the cues are also easy to understand, and the cognitive cost actually is very low. Okay, so to conclude, we designed a MOSI application in cell phone, in smartphone, to mitigate motion sickness when the passengers are performing non-driving tasks. And we found that it is especially effective for those people susceptible to motion sickness. And it can also defer the aggravation process of motion sickness, and almost little side effect on normal driving related tasks. So for future work, since my group actually is about human-centered automation for the future vehicles, so actually we at least 50% of our energy is put in the planning and control of automated vehicle. So with this research, actually we are thinking about to integrate all these parts in one vehicle, in one future vehicle. Means that if a passenger use a car or automated car for the future ride, we can use the planning of the road, the trajectory planning, the motion planning, and also the control, the actual steering control, the brake control, and also the in-cockpit measures of mitigating motion sickness. That is used, for example, this work. And we found that for future research, maybe optimized or even personalized adjustment of the MOSI application is important, and it is possible. Okay, so in our next papers, we will provide more details about such integrated framework of MOSI mitigation. Okay, and then I think my group provide many kinds of research on phishing zero, but most of them about the zero accident. I'm thinking about the next step, maybe for all the OEMs or suppliers or research communities, we need to vision zero complaint. It is difficult, it's quite difficult. Okay, let's work together. Thank you, that's all.
We have time for one question.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I will try to be very quick so that maybe there will be space for the other question. So my question is the following. There are many demonstrations about the fact that using a driving simulator itself, there might be influence for having sickness itself. Yes. Because of the simulator itself. So did you make maybe some pre-checking to understand, to mitigate, I would say, the two effects, to ensure that there is the difference between the two effects?
Yes, thank you for your question. Next question. Actually, I mentioned about this. So usually for the 6th degree of freedom, the moving base actually need washout algorithm. That means that you need to return to the starting place, the starting position, to prepare for the next simulator actuation, right? Understand that actually in this research we use the simulator as just a moving excitator. That is the simulator actually during the experiments, all the screens, include the windshield, all the screens, all the windows are blocked by the black curtains. So actually, the passenger only feels the motion and do the non-driving tasks. There's no other way to understand what happened to the simulator. This is the given commanded of acceleration. And it is, I'm not saying about 100% reproducing, but it is very close. There's no washout. There's no, for example, confusing signs of motion cues due to the simulator. Did I answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just quickly. Okay, just a short question to the colors in your system, because you used yes, you used red, yellow, and green, and I think there are a lot of studies on color perception from human beings. So maybe do you think about for the future work to change the colors, because in Western civilization, red is connected to emergency, and so maybe there are some misconception could exist.
I see. Actually, thank you for your advices. Actually, yes. I mentioned in the future work, actually, personalization is very important. Different people, different users think differently. So we keep in the final real car deployment. Actually, we keep some of these arrows information. But for the color, yes, not everybody likes it. Somebody even color-minded. Color-blinded. So they don't have actually get information from this. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll move on to the next presentation.
Thank you.